Coming up next on the voice of Alabama politics, bare knuckle boxing. Also, the V team takes a look at a worthless lottery. And an abortion ban causes a firestorm. Is that you, Governor? All this and much, much more coming up next on the V. Welcome to the voice of Alabama politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by the V team. Welcome home.
Good morning.
Hello.
Are you cracking everybody up?
Yes.
I do really.
Take 3 to get through the intro.
We're going to be here a while.
Yeah, well, you know, and I want to. This is a very serious subject. There are people that are very emotional on both sides of this abortion issue. Alabama this past week passed the most restrictive abortion law in the country. It does not give any exception for rape or incest. It barely gives an exception for the life of the mother. It has to be an extreme, a dangerous situation. And so, Beth, I mean, this has been one of those weeks where Alabama has been in the news all the time, and not necessarily for the right reasons or the wrong reasons, but because there is such a great divide on this abortion issue that it has almost become the topic of our decade. Yeah.
It has, and I won't lie, it's been a very difficult week. It's been a difficult week watching the people that we voted for not get a chance to speak on this issue because they didn't get elected, and watching the people who do represent us not speak for what many Alabamians feel are our values. But honestly, it's been more frustrating for me for a reason that is not the substance of the bill, but the fact that I've seen people now coming out on social media saying, oh my gosh, this is terrible, we have to do something. And I want to know where those people were in November when we were saying, come help us knock doors, come help us make phone calls, come help us elect people that won't pass this kind of draconian BS. And so I hope this is a wake-up call, and I hope people take elections more seriously now.
Well, and I think, again, pro-choice, pro-life people have differing of opinions. But even Kevin McCarthy, the head Republican in the U.S. Congress, said that this bill, he could not support it because, Susan, it just was so extreme.
When he said that, when you put in you don't have an exception for rape or for incest, he said, this goes beyond my beliefs. Pat Robertson also came out this week and said, this bill goes too far.
We lost Pat Robertson.
Yeah.
We're too extreme for the guy who said Katrina was sent for abortions.
Yeah.
Okay?
Exactly.
I mean, that's where we are. And,
Yeah.
Look, I think everybody has probably read and knows my thoughts on this and where I stand. And, it would just be nice to occasionally, sometime, get a news alert from the New York Times or the Washington Post about Alabama that says something like, Alabama feeds all poor kids. Alabama implements a sweeping change to care for their poor, or an education change is going to educate everyone equally. Something. But it's always this. It's always this.
And this, and a lot of viewers may not know, but while this bill was going through, they were arguing whether they were going to actually fund CHIPS or not.
Yeah.
Which is the Children's
Health Insurance Plan. And they tossed it out of the education budget. They tossed it out of the general fund. And I think they finally ended up splitting it between the two. But this was going on during the same time that this bill was going through the process.
Well, and here's where I come down. And I think this is where I would love to see us take our stand. If we're pro-life, let's just not be pro-birth. Let's be pro-life. Mm-hmm. In other words, if every life is precious, it's not just precious in the womb. Mm-hmm. Clyde Chambliss, who sponsored this bill, he said every life is precious. But if every life is precious, then we don't let them be thrown away like garbage. We don't let them be unfed. We don't let them be unclothed or uneducated.
Or unhealthy.
We executed a man Thursday night when there was serious doubts as to whether he got a fair trial.
But his life is not precious.
Right.
Right.
So all life is not precious if we're going to murder people in the name of the state.
Or not take care of them after they're born.
So, I think there's just some things that we're not considering. I mean, but Josh, this is never 2 points I want to make before we move on. One is the pro-life movement is always, and as I thought, rightfully so, emphasized the health of the mother. This bill makes it clear that they do not care about the health of the mother or mental or physical health.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest issues that I take with the way we do things here is that there are proven ways. First of all, abortion bans very rarely end up limiting abortions.
Right.
Very rarely. You look at the statistics all over the world, it just doesn't work. What does every single time are things that are common sense things, providing contraception, providing better health services for women, getting out there and telling people real sex education stuff in classrooms. Those sorts of things we don't do, and it's just like there's such a disconnect between the reality and what we want to happen, and it's almost as though everybody is just kind of screaming into the wind here, and we're not getting anywhere.
Well, Josh, but I think the thing is though, like you hit the nail on the head with there are things we can do. If this is about reducing the number of abortions, there's things we can do to reduce that number. But I think the most telling thing was the question about in vitro fertilization, where a fertilized embryo outside of the womb would not apply under this bill. A fertilized embryo in the womb does. So it's not about fertilization and life-beginning at conception. It's about control over the woman's body, and that's unacceptable.
Well, and as Clyde Chambliss, who sponsored the bill, made the point that until it was implanted inside the woman, if it was in a lab, it's not a person. If it's they didn't say not a person, but said this bill did not cover it.
And while we don't have a lot of statistics on abortion, and I know a lot of people have an issue with the public paying for abortions, right? Well, I was sent this information today that Medicaid approved 3 abortion claims in 2018 and 2 so far in 2019. So the numbers, I don't think, with public tax dollars going for this is actually what they...
Well, and that's the thing, if you looked at it or you thought about it, and I was surprised when we requested that information. I thought it would come back with quite a few. But in fact, over the last 2 years so far, there's only 5. I mean, you can't say only 5 abortions, but it's 5 abortions, not 500.
By Medicaid.
Right,
they've been falling. Abortions have been falling for a while now, just because medical services have become so much better, and you have contraceptives that are out there that are so much more widely available. And so when you have those things, they're going to fall, and they're going to continue to do so. Push them. I mean, if you want to stop abortions, push that. Push what's working.
And look, I don't see how anybody in their right mind argues that we want abortion. Nobody wants abortion.
Nobody wants abortion.
But these types of bills do not get them any further to overturning Roe v. Wade. But we're going to have to leave it right there. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back with more news and opinion and a look at bare knuckle boxing. Well, not a hard look, just kind of a soft look.
You've always dreamed of owning a home and investing in your community, but where do you start? Ask a local realtor about Alabama's new first-time homebuyer savings account. If you're looking to buy your first home or are re-entering the market after 10 years, contact your realtor to learn how to set up a tax-free savings account at any Alabama financial institution. Savings of up to $50,000 can be used as your down payment or towards closing costs. The first step on the road to home ownership. Let us help you get there.
Hey man, what are you doing today?
Play the game. Thought I'd go out for a drive later, maybe. Text some friends while I'm doing it. Scroll through social media. Kill a family 4 in a head-on collision.
Cool, man.
Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
A lot can change in 5 years. except those smile lines you treated with Bellafill. Because that's about how long Bellafill will keep them smooth and filled. 5 years. Now you can always look your best without all those injections, appointments, and costs. Bellafill is the only dermal filler that stimulates and maintains collagen growth long term. Now time is on your side.
Welcome back to the V, the voice of Alabama politics. Josh, the lottery bill passed the Senate.
Yep.
Very stripped down, not worth the paper it's written on lottery because it's a paper-only lottery. Mm-hmm. It will generate very little cash. It's going to take at least 2 to 3 years to get it implemented. But everybody wants a lottery, so they're willing to take dog food lottery rather than have a decent prime rib lottery.
Yeah.
It's going to be first on the House agenda, we hear, on Tuesday. What's your...
Yeah, apparently that was the Speaker's first pull out of the basket there, so you have to think it has a pretty good chance of passing, that they must have lined up some votes over the course of the last week or so. And so, you know, I don't understand. I mean, I don't understand how the guys in the legislature and the women in the legislature too, who are going to vote for this, can do so with a clear conscience on. I mean, even if we don't get into the issues of, you know, campaign donations and that sort of thing. It's a terrible lottery.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if the fix here, you know, there was an amendment placed on this in committee that would put 25% now into the Education Trust Fund. Well, 25% into the Education Trust Fund is going to be somewhere around $40 million at best. But let me compare that to Georgia. Georgia put over $1 billion last year into their education programs, into scholarships for kids going to college there, into pre-K programs, into tech training and other things throughout the state. $1 billion versus $40 million is what we're putting in here. It's a terrible bill, and we have another one. There was another bill there that you could have played with, you know, and removed what you didn't like and put other things in that you did like. And it would have made you $500 million or so a year right off the bat.
But the problem, Susan, is that the Poarch Band of Creek Indians only want this lottery.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're the only ones that really want this lottery. And they have so much power that this is the only lottery the people of Alabama are going to get to vote on.
It's real
if
simple.
They get this.
If they get this and it gets out there for the vote, people want lottery so badly that they will vote for this. But what's going to happen is that this paper lottery is going to be obsolete in 5 or 6 years. The legislature's not going to come back with another lottery bill, which means by that time, the Poarch Creek, you've got their VLTs, you know, the video lottery terminals and all that, and everybody else is just out of the game, and the state's making nothing off of it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and Beth, that's that again. There are people that are just accepting this because they're ignorant and they just think this is a clean lottery. They're not looking. But we know for a fact that not Tom, but Greg Albritton said, you know, this is the bill that, you know, basically the Poarch Creek want. Right. So this is where we're at.
Right. But I mean, the average Walmart, Alabama citizen doesn't know the difference between this bill and the other lottery bill.
Right.
They're going to see lottery on the ballot, and I bet you the House that they spend a whole bunch of money advertising vote yes on the lottery ahead of the election. And so people won't know. They're not going to say vote yes on the Poarch Creek lottery. They're going to say vote yes on the lottery.
Yeah.
And people will see the messaging and they will vote for it, and we'll be stuck with it.
Yeah, because it's a constitutional amendment to get it, and it's a constitutional amendment to change it.
Yeah, you know, it's just and the biggest thing that people don't realize out of this is that we would lose nothing by going to the other lottery bill. You know, it's not unfair. It's not unfair to the Poarch Creek Indians.
No, it's not.
It is. for us to put in a decent lottery that allows for these things. And if you didn't want certain places to have the video lottery terminals, there's ways to change all of that sort of stuff. But you could implement commercial casinos and bring in the revenue from those things here, playing the exact same games that are legal right now, and we would make 25% revenue off of this.
Right.
Where we're making 0 now, and if this passes, we'll make about 5%.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's
all that bill does is make it a level playing field so everybody can
Yes.
compete.
But
Yes.
we have written that President Donald Trump, these are the Trumpiest of the Trumpy Trumps down here in Alabama. The president, before he was president, said, and if we could get to talk to him, I'm sure he'd say this again, that we're giving an unfair advantage to the Native Americans without letting the private sector compete. Well, in Alabama, it's the Republicans giving the Poarch Creek Indians an unfair advantage over all competition. There is no competition. They won't allow competition.
Right.
And this is not very Trumpian.
Right.
But that's what we got.
They're not
That's
being
what we
very
got.
good disciples.
No, they're not. Well, we've got about a couple of minutes, Josh. One of your favorite things, fantasy sports. It looks like it could pass this year.
Yeah, I compete all the time in fantasy sports. I'm a big player, top pick, and a lot of those things. But no, the fantasy sports bill is a good bill. It's something that it's really free money for us for the most part. Where everyone is playing this stuff as it is. Illegally. But you go in, you get yourself a virtual private network connection somewhere, and it tells the computer that you're in Canada, and you can play your game however you'd like to play it. And that's what pretty much everybody who plays these things in this state is doing at this point. And so all this does.
And Josh Moon giving the viewers a playbook for how to do it.
That's for sale on my website, along with advice. But look, these are games of skill, okay? Right. I mean, you can say that you're gambling or whatever, and yes, that's true, but you do have to have some skill. Trust me on that. You'll lose money off of it.
Yeah, I've seen some of these, and I wouldn't know enough about the teams that are playing to tell you who
I wouldn't have
pick.
a clue how to do it.
I don't even know half the players anymore. But then my favorite though, we don't regulate bare knuckle boxing, Beth.
Of course we don't. We're too busy regulating women's bodies to worry about bare knuckle boxing.
Well, I thought when we were taping the show, and somebody said, not here, but somebody said, well, what's bare knuckle boxing? And I said, well, I'm going to tell you why bare knuckle boxing. I'm going to tell you like Senator Gerald Allen told Senator Jim McClendon when he asked why bare knuckle boxing. He said there are fewer concussions and a lot more blood. So why not bare knuckle boxing?
Sounds like a winner to me.
I got to tell you, this legislature, this session is just a train wreck.
Luckily,
it's
we got great
absolute
health
train
care.
wreck.
Luckily, we have great health care in this state, so we can care for bare knuckle boxing.
boxing. But and then somebody said, well, why? And I said, she said, I've never seen that. I said, you didn't go to high school or junior high school? They had
or the legislature on occasion.
Yeah, they had bare knuckle boxing forever. All right, well we're gonna have to leave it right there. Jesus welcome in the State House, just not his principles. We'll be right back with more news and opinion.
What a great opportunity for your success. Adding 500,000 highly skilled employees to our workforce by 2025 is how we stay ahead in Alabama. Our economy is stronger than it's been in years, and a skilled workforce is more important than ever. Things move fast, so choose your path. Your success is waiting, plus a great future for Alabama. Success Plus. Go for it.
The Energy Institute of Alabama promotes reliable, affordable, and clean energy to help grow our economy, create high-paying jobs, and build public support for Alabama's energy industry. The Energy Institute of Alabama is the best source of energy industry information and how it affects households across the state, from convenient energy production to alternative fuels to solar power and beyond.
What are you doing today, babe?
I thought I'd head down to the lake with the guys, do a little fishing. Of course, none of us will be wearing our seatbelts.
I'll lose control of the truck, wrap it around a tree, and kill us all.
Okay.
Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. Susan, I got an email and read it to you the other day, and it was very, very nice email. But the gentleman was saying that we needed a Billy Graham for the Alabama legislature because they needed to repent, and because they just were some rank sinners in his. And it was actually sincere. And I had written a story or an opinion piece saying that, look, they talk about Jesus, they talk about the Bible, they talk about it, but they don't live it. And what it is at least two examples right off the bat come to mind where they say one thing and they do another. And Jesus told them, he said, let your yeses be yes and your noes be no. And these guys can't keep that straight. They'll tell you one thing and then do another, right?
Absolutely. And one of the best examples, my favorite this session, is that we've been talking about the gaming bill. McClendon had the bill written up. Marsh was a sponsor on it. Everybody was behind it. And all of a sudden, his good friend that he had lunch with all the time, sitting across from him at lunch, had another bill to defund his. So that right there, Marsh lied to him. Albritton turned around and stabbed him in the back. That's real Christian. That's what Jesus would have done, right? Yeah.
Think about it too. Like Jesus, healed the sick and he helped the needy, and he didn't ask for their Blue Cross card to do it. We're debating how to pay for children's health insurance and whether that money should now go into a slush fund for our legislators. Think about it. What would Jesus do, actually? It's ridiculous to me, and I think some of these people need to read a little more of the red words.
They actually need to open it and read it instead of beating it so much.
I really think that Jesus would drug test those people first. Completely against that. Look, I'll say that. I have a lot more respect for someone who will stand up at a podium and say, I'm doing this. This, for example, Greg Albritton. I would have a lot more respect for him if he would say, listen, you know what? The Poarch Creeks, I talk to them a lot. Yep. I'm in favor of what they want to do. I'm presenting this bill because it benefits them. And you know what? I don't really care about anything else.
That's right.
But as he comes up and says, my goal is not to hurt anybody else. It's nonsense. When you're then steadily voting down local legislation that would help Green Track and Victory Land for the who are nowhere near his district, right. For the sole purpose of aiding this entity over here. Yeah. That to me is a dishonest way to go about it. Exactly. And I have a lot more respect for you if you just stand up and say what you do.
Sure. And that's sort of like the Arthur Orr bill that we talked about last week, where they promised the state. I even went on the radio and here and said, no, they can't go back and steal the gas tax money.
We reassured everybody, put our name on it.
Then right off the bat, Senator Arthur Orr and his Republican colleagues passed a bill where they can rob gas tax money for the marinas.
Yeah. For yachts. And wasn't there something also in there about a needle and a camel or something and rich people in heaven?
There should have been, but there wasn't. Because they missed that part of the Bible. But the port thing is the most ridiculous thing in the world to me. And listen, and it all stems back to the deal with the Port of Mobile and how they had to go about getting that money there so they could get the federal dollars. And so then they had to make some promises to some guys who were going to vote no against the bill. And so now here we are. You know what? Here we are, and you're stealing $10 million a year out of the money that was guaranteed to go to roads and bridges.
I'm sorry, but the Port of Mobile is being dredged so we can save money. Some of our businesses can save money, and so that we can make money. Docking fees for yachts, docking fees for tankers, I think are a little different.
Well, and the thing is, we promised it roads and bridges and the Port of Mobile. That's all we said. But they come in and it's like they don't care. And I haven't even seen this story anywhere but us published.
I don't think so. I don't know that anybody else has even talked about it. But I mean, you're taking $10 million annually out of this thing, and
that's just the first one.
Yeah,
that's just the first bill.
Yeah, that's just the first one, and you've got 11 other senators who were co-sponsors of this thing. It's one of the first bipartisan bills I've seen in a long time. But they all wanted to steal the money out of this thing. And so there are probably going to be 11 more of these coming along.
That's right. It was bipartisan theft. So you had Republicans. But we got about 2 minutes. I want to get on this. I have no personal animosity towards Poarch Creek. I frankly adore some of those folks. Mm-hmm. I think that they have some leadership issues that they need to address. Mm-hmm. But besides that, so they had a meeting earlier this week, tribal council meeting, and at that tribal council meeting, they discussed the process for negotiating a compact with the governor, because that's how you have to do it. Mm-hmm. And so they had that meeting, and so we called the governor's office, or I called the governor's office, and I spoke with the governor's folks, and they checked around. The Poarch Creek have not talked to Governor Ivey or her people about this bill, but Susan, it seems like, and I don't know, I think Josh may be asking him this, but it seems like to me that they are getting ready to try to work out a compact once the lottery goes through.
That sounds like what they're talking about, and I mean, I think they're getting a cart before the horse here a little bit, but it seems like they're absolutely planning on doing that and just using whatever momentum they've got coming off this session to try to push that through with the governor.
Now, Josh, one of the things that we have talked about a number of times is the Poarch Creek have been concerned about this carcieri ruling. Mm-hmm. It said anybody that was not taken into federal trust before tribe that was recognized before 34 was not actually recognized.
Right.
And a compact would settle that, right?
Yeah, it would. It would give them the legal standing and protection that they would need out of this. But, I think the bigger issue here is throughout this whole lottery debate, the one thing we've heard over and over and over again is, oh, no. Wait, Class 3 gaming, that's not really anything we're concerned about.
That's right.
Why us? No, we're not doing that.
Right.
But it hasn't even passed.
Right.
And they're looking at a resolution about entering into the compact here that will only be about Class 3 gaming.
That's right.
That's the only thing that they could have a compact for at this point is Class 3 gaming. And so, that's what they're doing.
So all over here you say, oh, no, we don't have a thing to do with it. Over here, they're getting ready to go and get a compact that allowed them to have Vegas games, video terminal lotteries, all this stuff. We're going to have to leave it right there. Oh. I know, we'll save it for next week. You've been watching the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.